Hey peeps, it's me again, Drew, owner of Quality Car Automotive here in Pflugerville, Texas. Well, today I'm going to tell you the truth about mechanics. Alright, so I just got this phone call from my mom. She called last night. I wasn't able to get to it last night, so she left me a voicemail, and I called her back this morning. Well, apparently she took her car into a loop center. I'm not going to say any names. Apparently she took her car into a loop center, and they were unable to get the oil filter cap off. So they gave her this bogus story about, hey, ma'am, if you don't get your oil changed right at 3,000 miles or right at the due date, then your filter sticks onto your car and you can't get it off. Really? I mean, come on, people. It's an oil filter. So what happens is you have a lot of these lube places. They train these guys, or somewhat train these guys, or get these guys that were do-it-yourselfers, or I don't know, people that were just working at home and saying that they were mechanics. And then they hire them in because they want to make money, but they don't have any type of training. They don't have any type of experience. The only experience they really have is shade tree. Shade tree is a term that we use for mechanics who just worked under the shade tree. I had shade tree mechanics that I grew up around. A lot of them were my uncles. Nothing wrong with shade tree mechanics. Then the reason why they call them shade tree mechanics is because that's where they did their work, up on that shade tree. They used the limbs from the tree to, put the engine hoist and stuff on to be able to pull the engine out of your vehicle and do repairs up under the shade tree because it's shade. That was their shop. There's nothing wrong with shade tree mechanics. The only thing that separates the shade tree, I guess, from like certified or professionals is the knowledge base and the experience. Now, shade trees, they do have a lot of experience, but the experience grasped on is what they've learned or what's been taught to them, passed by somebody else who was a neighborhood mechanic or shade tree mechanic. And so now they're passing on what they learned, what they did from, Uncle Roy, Uncle Ray, from their dad. Nothing wrong against that. But the thing that separates real mechanics from just regular shade tree mechanics is the knowledge base. Most mechanics, they have been trained. They have been trained to know how to work on a vehicle, to know the rights and wrongs, how to torque bolts to the right perspective. Perspective. I'm saying stuff all wrong. To torque them to the right specs. They use a guideline of rules, which is usually by Mitchell or the manufacturer, if they have a list of guidelines of how this vehicle should be calibrated or how bolts should be, tightened or fastened. It goes from wheels, whatever the case may be. But there are specific guidelines that they use within them. So most mechanics who have been trained, they go by these, systematic rules that have been set by the manufacturer, by the person who made this vehicle. So therefore, when they're working on it, hey, instead of them just tighten until the bolt is tight or too tight, they're tightening, hey, this bolt should be tightened to 14 foot-pounds of torque. So now they're taking their tool, which, it costs them money to tighten that bolt to, 14 foot-pounds of torque. So that kind of separates, just being a regular mechanic and a shade tree. Now, then you have your level of mechanics who have advanced to like technicians. These are automotive technicians. Now, not everybody's a technician, and everybody wants that title, but it really takes a lot. And everybody who has that title of technician, they need to really understand what that role is. I consider myself a technician. Only reason being because, hey, when I was working before, man, they sent me to school after school after school, after training after training after training, and then I put in time after time after time. So when we made repairs, like we were making repairs to people's $60,000 Lincoln Navigators or, their luxury vehicles, also to their vehicles that they bought, brand new. And so when we're doing these warranty repairs, like I can't just tighten something and be like, hey, yeah, I tightened it, it's all good. No, then if it comes back on me as being the technician that repaired that job, if it comes back as a comeback or a kickback from the warranty to claim, hey, you guys didn't do the repair right, guess who takes the fault? I take the fault. The dealership doesn't take the fault. Hey, yours truly signed off for that authorization on that vehicle. So the difference between just a regular mechanic and a technician, shade tree mechanic, is the knowledge base, right? So, with having a knowledge base, you really need to know what you're talking about, and you really need to know what you're doing. And that's why I tell anybody, hey, if I tell you something about your vehicle, if I tell you something that I recommend, you can Google it. Like, you don't have to take my word for it. You can Google it. If I tell you, hey, that your car, your Mercedes 2013, it has to use I can't even think of the name of it right now. Gosh, it has to use a certain coolant for your system. And if I'm telling you, hey, this is what Mercedes recommends, and if you don't use the recommended coolant that I tell you, or if you don't believe me, Google it. You can call the dealership and they'll tell you, yeah, you need to use this coolant because these are how this coolant works for your vehicle. It doesn't break down. This is what we recommend because of the different operating, components that we have in your cooling system. So yeah, we recommend this coolant for it. But if I tell you something, like, you can Google it. So you don't have to just take my word for it, but I'm going to make sure that I tell you exactly what your vehicle needs per manufacturer's recommendations. But anyway, that's just a little bit about the difference between, the truth, I guess you could say, about mechanics.